What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Quinn Wade, basketball analysis, coming to you with a NBA rebuilding up on the Denver Nuggets. Now, this team was just a playoff team. There was a 50-win team just 2 years ago. Now they've been struggling because they had guy Brian Shaw. He didn't really know how to use his players. He didn't really know how to get a perfect philosophy to get his players playing hard and knowing what they doing. So they fired Brian Shaw, and now they got to hire a new coach. So it's gonna be funny to see who they hire because I think the biggest thing gonna make out of this video is they coach, because it don't matter who they sign or who they draft. If they don't have the coach playing the right system and getting the right players involved and making the players work together and build good chemistry, it doesn't matter. Because I thought the Denver Nuggets had a good team anyway, and it was an embarrassment how they only won 30 games last year with all that talent that they had. They had Danilo, they had Kenneth Faried, Wilson Chandler, Ty Lawson getting 10 assists a game. They had Mozgov. They had all these centers. They even had the rookie doing work. So it's a lot that I'm surprised that this team has really got, because Joseph Nurkic was good. Then they put him back on the bench to run the small ball lineup, but they needed Joseph Nurkic down there to protect the rim and protect the paint and score on the low post. So I like to see a coach put Joseph Nurkic back in the starting lineup so that way he can develop his talent and get a whole lot better, because Joseph Nurkic got high potential. He's the only player on the Denver Nuggets to me that's untradeable if you include Ty Lawson, but Ty Lawson, they rebuilding, so they can get a first round pick for Ty Lawson. So I don't think that he's untradeable. I think if a right trade came around that helps both teams out, I can see them trading Ty Lawson for another player or from another players or even for a first round top 10 draft pick. I can see them moving Ty Lawson. So with that being said, I think he is replaceable. But I think Joseph Nurkic, he can shoot, he can post up, and he can protect the paint. I love Joseph Nurkic's game, and he's just so young. He's only like 19 or 20, and he's only gonna get better, and he only gonna get more confidence, and only gonna get he got a high ceiling. So the first couple stats I want to look at is the main stats I look at. Ty Lawson led this team in points with 15 and assists. So they was 12 in points per game. They were in a quick up tempo game. They got off the floor. They wasn't running as good as George Karl when he was coaching. They was one of the best offensive teams in the league. This season they was 12 with 101 points per game, which is pretty good because they showed that they can score the basketball against anybody, but they just didn't have no defense to compensate for that. They was 27th in defensive points allowed. They allowed 105 points. Now, they were scoring a whole lot of points, but they couldn't stop the opponent from scoring. That's a bad recipe for a championship team. That's a bad recipe for a playoff team. How can you score a lot of points, but you give up more points than you score? The whole point about defense is stopping your opponent from scoring. They cannot stop nobody from scoring on them. Even though they can score, light the scoreboard up, they only equal to 30 wins. So that was embarrassing. They was seventh in rebounding with 44.7 with Nurkic, with Kenneth Faried, who's one of the best rebounders in the game, with Alt Wilson Chandler and Mozgov. They had a whole lot of bodies to throw out, and that's not even all they centers. They had a whole lot of bodies to throw out there for the rebounds. They had a whole lot of bodies out there to protect the paint. It's just that they had a right defensive scheme to help them succeed against all teams. They didn't make the right adjustments, and they didn't make the right scheme for defenses. And you can blame it on Brian Shaw more than the team not playing hard, which is accountability for them. But the coach just didn't put them in good positions to play defense, and they didn't put them in good positions to grow and get better, because they basically was off and on. At one point, they was 16 and 16, I believe. They was 500, and they only got worse from there. So it seemed like they figured it out. Then they went back to being mediocre. And this is sad to see the Denver Nuggets just change with the same personnel just fall underneath the ground because of the coaching. And then in assists, it was 21.8 assists per game. That's 12th in the league. So that's good to have high scoring team that also passed the ball well, good ball movement. It's just that they didn't score efficient enough because they didn't take the right shots. They took a lot of jump shots. Now, for this team, I don't think this team is that far off from a playoff team. They won 30 games last year, but they didn't have the right coach to fit their philosophy and their talent that they had on the roster. So I don't think this team needs a whole lot of rebuilding and a whole lot of work. Just like the Phoenix Suns, like I just said in that video, I think this team is almost to a playoff team. I just think they need the right coach and just some better personnel. Now, I'm about to tell you the draft picks. They getting a top 10 pick this year for winning 30 games. And this are the players that they looking at getting. I'm going to tell you the ones that's best. They looking at getting Willie Cauley-Stein, which they not going to get because they got two centers already. And Joseph Nurkic got higher potential than Willie Cauley-Stein. They got Mario Hezonja. Hezonja or something like that. He's a small forward / shooting guard that can shoot, space the floor, and shoot down threes. But like I said, this team already stacked on talent. They already got Wilson Chandler and Danilo Gallinari. So they don't really need a small forward if they want to keep either one of those. Then they got Stanley Johnson. He's a power forward. But they already got Kenneth Faried, guys. So who should they get? Now, this team, like I said, and then they can get Frank Kaminsky, Miles Turner, Devin Booker, Kelly Aubrey, and Jerry Grant. There's a whole lot of players they can get with their draft pick. Now, this team is already stacked on talent. Ty Lawson, Wilson Chandler, Danilo Gallinari, Joseph Nurkic, Kenneth Faried, Ty Lawson, they all got deals too besides Wilson Chandler. So they could draft Mario and put him at the small forward and let Wilson Chandler go, or trade Wilson Chandler for salary cap, trade Wilson Chandler, or put him on the bench. So I don't really know what they're going to do. And they also got rookies from last year, like shooting guard. They drafted a shooting guard last year, and he ain't even getting no minutes really. So they stacked on talent. The draft don't really matter to them. They can trade their top 10 pick for another asset. They can trade their top 10 pick for another player in the draft. I mean, for another player that they want. They can trade this pick and I'll be fine. They can trade them to like the Celtics and get more role players. They can trade them to anybody because this pick really don't matter to me. They just need the right coach. And for free agents, they really need a rim protector. If Joseph Nurkic don't get that many minutes, they really need a rim protector to protect the rim and help Kenneth Faried on the boards. And Kenneth Faried need to develop to be more of a floor spacer. I know he like to get to the paint and bang and get rebounds and dunk, but he also need to work on his jump shot so that way he can be more of a stretch forward, and so that way they can be more versatile on the offensive end instead of having two people packing the paint. It claws up the space for Ty Lawson, and it forces him to take a lot of jump shots. Same with Wilson Chandler and Danilo. They got to settle for more jump shots because the paint is so clogged up with centers and power forwards that can't really shoot and space out the floor. So I like Kenneth Faried to add more to his game and become a better all-around player besides a rebounder and dunker. I want him to work on a jump shot and stretching the floor and his free throw shooting. Joseph Nurkic the same. He already can shoot the mid-range jumper, but I want him to be a little more consistent. So the biggest thing for the Denver Nuggets is the draft a player that's going to stay with them long term. They can even draft a project. They don't have to draft a sure thing because this team look like they're going to have to find a coach first. And then after that, I don't know what they're going to do. But if they draft a player, they can draft a short thing like Frank Kaminsky, or they can draft a project like Mario Hezonja, and they'll still be fine because this team got a long way to go if they don't get the right coach to make in the playoffs again. But they got the talent already, people. That's what you got to realize. They got the talent to do it, but they just got to have the right coach to put it together. And they can add some talent here and there, but they got to make sure the chemistry right and they mesh well. They just can't sign anybody. They just can't draft anybody. They got to put the right players in the pieces on this team. And some of the pieces are tradable. Like they can trade Wilson Chandler because he's getting older. They can't trade Danilo Gallinari because his contract worth too much money and he's not playing on the same level that it's worth. Same what they did with JaVale McGee. They just traded him for salary cap. So the Denver Nuggets got a whole lot of salary cap. They can make a lot of big moves in a free agency. So I want to see what they're going to do. I don't really know who they're going to sign or draft. So let me know what you guys think. Comment, like, subscribe, and share. And feel free to check out my older videos.